What's up, everybody? Today, Apple just dropped some pretty significant upgrades to the iPads that they have on their website. They released a new version of both the most affordable iPad, the 10th generation of the iPad regular, came out today, as well as their most expensive iPad, the iPad Pro 11 and 12.9 inch models. So there were some pretty significant upgrades, and let me just start with the iPad Pro, because I think the iPad Pro actually got the least amount of significant upgrades. First and foremost, it now has the M2 chip, so it's compatible with all of the M2 things, which I guess really when it comes to an iPad, they hyped it up like they were releasing some significant pro apps of their own, and I was ready to see Final Cut make its way to the iPad on the M2 chip, and it's DaVinci Resolve. So DaVinci Resolve is coming to iPad OS, and you'll be able to use it as an editing software. Pretty sure that's Blackmagic's, and maybe I'll get into that one. I don't know. I've been holding out for Final Cut for years, as have many people, and it's still not there. LumaFusion is my iPad editor of choice and probably will continue to be for some time until Apple comes out with their own. But they talked about a couple other professional apps, some of them being from Affinity. I use several Affinity apps for different projects that I do, and I think they're great apps, but they've been on iPad OS for a while now, so nothing remarkably new there. What I was impressed with the new iPads was more the base model iPad. So while there weren't as many changes as you would have expected to the larger iPad Pro, they did make some pretty significant changes to their most affordable iPad. Coming in at $449, it's a little bit more expensive than the previous generation of the iPad, but it is interesting because it comes in three pretty cool and unique colors. It comes in this really interesting pink color right here, which, is not really for me. And then it also comes in a blue color, which they've had the blue color here on the iPad Air for a while. And then there's also this really neat yellow one. I'm not usually a big fan of yellow, but I think they did a great job with the yellow color, and I kind of like it. Overall, I thought it was interesting, and as I was watching the event, I was like, the 10-minute video that they released on their YouTube channel about this new iPad, I was like, why would anybody spend the extra money to get the iPad Air? That was my number one question. So here's a couple of the things that I found on this iPad that were interesting and a couple of the things that they didn't tell you. So it does have USB Type-C now, so much like the rest of the iPad lineup, you get that USB-C connector, which is super, super handy. I use this USB-C port. Tremendous upgrade over Lightning. It is absolutely worth it. It's not Thunderbolt like it is on the Pros, just a regular USB-C port, but it is really handy. They brought 5G compatibility across the iPad line, so no matter what you get, whether it's the Mini, whether it's the Pro, you're getting that faster 5G networking. I don't see it making a difference on my iPad Mini usage, but maybe you're a big fan of it. Up to 256 gigabytes across all the new iPads, and a 2 terabyte model on the iPad Pros. And then here's the interesting one. Even though they switched over to USB-C, they did not include the same inductive charging mechanism for the Apple Pencil 2 support. You actually still, with the base model iPad, have to use the first generation Apple Pencil, which is a Lightning Apple Pencil, which is what made me think they got rid of it. But they didn't. You use the first generation Apple Pencil, and you can now get a Lightning to USB-C converter to use the Apple Pencil with this thing. That's so stupid. Why didn't they just give it the whatever? Anyhow, so it does not work with the Apple Pencil 2nd generation. Just a heads up in case you were wondering about that. It also remains the only iPad that is not compatible with the Smart Folio keyboard case, besides the iPad Mini, which is just too small to really type with. But it has its own custom keyboard cases. It does not work with the Magic Keyboard, so the one with the trackpad and whatever. This one has its own custom keyboard and trackpad combination that you can buy just for it, that is not compatible with any of the other iPads. It's really weird. I don't know why they didn't put the accessory to mount it on the back. All of the little dots are at the bottom like they used to be. I don't know. Really weird stuff with the new iPad, smallest one here. So it starts out at $449, which comes in at about $150 less than the iPad Air, but is actually about $50 more than the previous generation model that it replaces, which isn't a big surprise because we saw the iPhone SE do the same thing, where the iPhone SE is like $30, $40 more than the previous model that went out earlier this year. So I was kind of expecting that when I heard about this anyway. The other thing that I saw that was a pretty big announcement here is that it is now a 10.9-inch Liquid Retina display, which is similar to what you would find in the iPad Air, which again is what was making me wonder why you would get this over, or why we get the iPad Air over this. It is not a fully laminated display, nor does it have an anti-reflective coating, nor does it have ProMotion technology. So if you want any of those things, you will need to upgrade to either the iPad Air, or if you want that ProMotion, it still remains exclusive to the iPad Pro lineup, and it just depends on if that's something that's important to you or not. There's also no dedicated media engine like there is in the two more expensive iPads. The iPad mini doesn't have that. It doesn't affect me in any particular case, but it does now on the iPad Pro bring over ProRes support for the first time. So if you're wanting to use the cameras on your iPad to record ProRes, you can do that. I recommend against it, but you can if you want to. But it now unifies all iPads with USB Type-C. They all have a compatible keyboard case with the exception of the Mini. The Mini is the only one that you can't get a keyboard case for. 12 megapixel cameras across the board, f1.8 apertures across the board on the wide, and the iPad Pro still having that ultra-wide camera coming in at an f2.4 aperture. They have not really updated that one whatsoever. And then they also still only have a flash on the iPad Pro, and the iPad Mini, for some reason, is the only other iPad that got an LED flash. And surprisingly, I find it very useful on the iPad. Occasionally, I'll be using my iPad at night, and I'll just turn on the flashlight when I get up at night to do something, and it's really nice. I don't have to turn on all the lights. So anyway, I think it's handy. They've brought ProRes recording, like I said, to the iPad Pro, so if that's something that's important to you and you've always wanted to record on your 13-inch iPad in ProRes, you can do that now, but I don't think that's going to appeal to too many people. And then they have also brought 4K recording across the board, so all iPads can now shoot 4K video resolution as well. And I believe that pretty much covers all of it. The only other thing that I saw that was a really big change, and they only made this change on the one base model iPad, they moved the FaceTime camera from here to here. They did not do that I can tell on the iPad Pro. It still remains in the portrait, but landscape is now available on the cheaper one. That's something that a lot of people have been asking for. I never saw the benefit to that, but a lot of people really want that, and it is there, but it is only on landscape on the cheapest iPad. So if that's something that you really, really want, they didn't do that with the iPad Pro. It's not there on the Air, not there on the Mini. The Mini and the Air did not receive an update today whatsoever. And all iPads across the board now have a form of biometrics, whether it is Face ID or whether it is Touch ID. The newest base model iPad has removed the home button entirely. I think some of the rumors had indicated that it might be in the home button. I think we saw a pretty significant update to the base model iPad. And if you're looking for a new iPad, I mean, those colors are looking fresh. I would love to see how they look unboxed and whatever in person. I think they look really, really nice. Personally, I'd love to get my hands on any of the colors and see how they look. I'm a big fan of iPads coming in colors. I wish that they came in more colors because I think pink, blue, and yellow are some nice options, but let me tell you, a product red would look so good. I would love a red version like I've got of my iPhone here for an iPad. I think that would look really, really nice. But anyway, maybe that's just me and I'm the only one that wants product red. So this was a bit of a long video, but it was a bit of an exciting day. I always love it when there's a website refresh from Apple and something interesting happens. So that's my thoughts on the new iPads that came out. I think the iPad Pro was a bit of a small update with really the only big feature that they touched on that was new was this new ability for the Apple Pencil to kind of hover above the display and whatnot. And the only other major thing that it has is the M2 chip. So I thought it was an interesting upgrade, but not really something that I'm interested in. And I'm probably not going to get either of these iPads, but the base model iPad received a significant update. Very, very good update. I think if you have an iPad or if you're new to the iPad and you've been looking for one, the new base model iPad is the way to go. It's an excellent overall upgrade. It's great. I really can't think of anything to knock it for. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. I know I was a little long-winded on it, but I thought that these were some pretty interesting announcements and I wanted to cover everything that I saw with you. So hopefully that clears up some things, what Apple did share with us, what Apple didn't share with us, and I looked into a little on my own. So if you have any questions, let me know what iPad you're most excited about. Are you planning on getting the Pro? Are you planning on getting the basic one? Or are you already happy with the iPad you own? For me, I have my iPad mini and I love it and I intend to stick with it. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video and I'll catch you in the comments down below. Thanks for watching.